Okay, friend, we are now going to move all the way up to the head and the ajna centers. If you're moving through this sequentially, the reason I'm moving up to the head and the ajna centers and leaving the throat center to the last is because all roads lead to Rome. We want to bring the manifestation into the throat center, but we need to see the full pressure sandwich before we do that. So the head and the ajna centers, this is the inspiration and conceptualization functions. This is about selling inspiration and selling certainty. Again, these two centers are totally open in my design. So I have been gaining a lot of wisdom around this energy my whole life. So again, I'm going to start here. If you need to fast forward, if you've been here and heard this, you can go ahead and fast forward if you want to. The goal in all of this is to attract money in the correct way. When you're responding as a builder or a manifesting generator, there's satisfaction there. When you are recognized and invited as an advisor or a projector, there's success there. When you're informing as a manifester or an innovator, there's peace there. And when you're waiting for the right initiation into an environment, as a reflector or an evaluator, there is awe there. So these things need to be the focus. Because if money becomes the focus, there's no amount of money that's ever going to bring these feelings to you. Has to start with alignment of the design. And then the attraction process happens. So making money will never be satisfying. Being satisfied while making money is a totally different story for our builders. And again, you can insert invitation, informing. Here you will learn how you naturally sell. And you can also see how you are sold as well. So the openness, all of the openness in your design, every center, every channel, every gate, this is where your clients come in. This is the doorways. And it's also the doorway out for you to gain wisdom and be sold on the exact same things that you eventually sell. The material world is rooted in the third line process. The third line process is the heart of the material plane. This is a trial and error process. This is where we gain great wisdom and where we embrace that failure aspect. Third lines adapt and pivot, they innovate and they become creative. And the martyr and the anarchist is always breaking down the old and letting those new innovations come through. Rejecting that institutional order for that new energy to come through. And I show you this on every one of these videos because capitalism is adjusting. The 19 and the 49 are breaking down in this tribal ego circuit. And because of that, 54, this ambition. Ambition's going to look different. This isn't about, making a 90% profit off of your business by stepping on the heads of people on your way to the top. It's no longer how capitalism is going to be. It's no longer about stripping the dignity away from anybody. It's going to be about honoring the intrinsic value of every human being on this planet. So let's review the head and the ajna centers. So building the form, manifestation, doesn't happen here in the mind, and I've talked to you guys about that. Often I have said that, is that the mind, you do not manifest from the mind. Building the form doesn't happen from the mind. Building the form, if you remember in the quarters that present our purpose, you will remember that form is built through the throat center. And we will get into that in the next video. So the mind is the seat of self-reflected consciousness. The head and the inspiration is ultimately the storage system that creates our personality. The ajna and the conceptualization, this is the neocortex. This is the glands, the anterior and posterior pituitary, which is the central zone for the distribution of information and the control mechanism for the entire body. The mind has nothing to do with the life. It is there to observe, to house the potential of the awareness, to experience the phenomena of existence in this form. The moment you strip away from the mind its power to make decision, then you begin to see the magic of what's really there. The potential of outer authority, this expression and communication without intent, without an agenda. When you enter into the correct decision-making strategy, this fear for survival no longer has any anxiety resonance because the mind is not responsible anymore. Opens up the possibility that there can be healing and transformation in the way in which the mental system operates. That was one of the things actually that Ra always said, was that it's a joke. You can't heal the mind. But what you can do is remove the decision making from the mind so that it can concentrate and do its real job. And that is through this process of storage, through decoding, through picking up messages. And then the physical body can heal because it's no longer bracing for impact. It's no longer waiting, wondering, what is this crazy mind going to pull us down now? So the mind does not need to communicate with an agenda to protect itself in the world, or to be successful, or to influence others. We are designed to communicate through our outer authority, the pureness that comes out of our differentiation. So the purpose of the mind, sharing and empowering as self-reflected consciousness. What is the mind? As long as the mind is both inner and outer authority, human beings are fundamentally liars. They cannot be truthful. They cannot be truthful because as long as the inner authority is the mind, then you know that every expression that is outer authority is determined by the agenda of the false inner authority of the not-self. That's deep. That's really deep. The moment you can step away from mind being the interior, inner authority, and leave the mind with its true purpose, which is to fulfill its potential as outer authority, one begins to see the way in which we can measure awareness. Most human beings, when they are trying to express awareness, are expressing manipulated intelligence. The purity of one's memory, the purity in the sense of it being individual. Each of us has a unique memory collection that is possible. When we operate as ourselves, that leads to a unique way in which the mind looks at things. The beauty of what is possible in that mind, being able to share that. And minds don't get very good at sharing their outer authority unless they are absolutely secure in their inner authority. To be able to communicate with others without an agenda. As long as the mind is both inner and outer authorities, that's really totally impossible. You are going to have an agenda as long as your mind is the inner authority. So let's pop back here and just take a look at this. The manifestation that is not there, but what is there is 63 is doubt. What doubt really does is it creates questions. Why am I here? Why am I in this human experience again? Why am I in this pattern again? It creates this doubt so that the formulas can be created. So we come back as this witness in the 13. And then there's questions that arise out of this. What's my purpose? What am I doing here? So that we can then create an opinion around, this is why I'm here. So that consciousness field is asking questions so that it can create the opinion, so that it can create the rationale. So that we can get those answers from those formulas from interacting with other people. And we get those answers and formulas to transform our existence by absolutely being in experiences and allowing for the mental process of the experience to happen. And that all happens because we are having experiences with other people. And then the transformation can take place through the breakthrough. I'm questioning, why am I here? What's going on? And then all of a sudden we can have a breakthrough. That's why I had that experience. Now we can teach it. And then the inner truth allows us to transform. So when we break down each quarter and be able to see what quarters with what center, all of a sudden it becomes even more clear. I get it. Now I see it. So when we look at a defined head center in an unhealthy state, it's making hasty decisions. It's anxious. There's doubt. Scared about missed opportunities. But in a healthy state, when it's defined, it's a healthy mental pressure. It inspires people to think and enjoy their process and to come to a place of inner truth. And to recognize that doubt and suspicion and confusion allows us to get to a deeper place as to what this is all about. So it's about enjoying thinking and inspiring and empowering and uplifting and sharing. The Ajna center, unhealthy when it's defined, obsessive thinking with no relief. You have a headstrong tendency to make decisions from the mind, waste a lot of energy thinking, and of course there's always this anxiety. But naturally, it's okay to be thinking. You can speak your mind. You have a fixed way of doing that. You use your mind to categorize, analyze, and research data and information, and you enjoy that mental stimulation. It's comfortable how your mind operates. There's, lots of mental creativity that happens up there. Undefined head center, if the mind is always making decisions, it's always losing focus. I'm going here, I'm going there, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing that, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. I got to do that. I got to run over here and do this. The confusion and the doubts and the mental loss of focus has you running around like crazy. Let me tell you, I'll put up my hand for that one. I know this one very well. If I'm following my mind, I lose focus easily. The wisdom, what is worth focusing on? You are here to wonder and explore the mysteries of life and human consciousness. You enjoy the questions and the confusion. Explore ideas, explore inspiration. Lots of inspirational teachers come and go out of my life. Lots and lots and lots. Sometimes all I need from them is a sentence. But they will have been brought into my life. That inspiration lights something in my consciousness field, and then I move on. So what's worth focusing on at the moment? I trust my inner authority for that. The Ajna center, mentally defensive. I totally get this as well. convincing yourself and others that you're certain of your opinion, rigid in your beliefs, pretending, afraid, trying to figure everything out. This is mentally defensive. The wisdom, what ideas are useful? So what's the focus and what's the correct idea? Never having to be certain. Recognize what is useful, what is practical, what is worthy of me focusing in on. You ask questions to learn so they can get clarity. You can take in information like a sponge. Now, totally open, this is what my body graph looks like right here. Get caught up in the mental plane, not sure what to think, and can get mentally overwhelmed when in large groups. Here, there's no fixed, there's nothing grabbing onto the mental plane and trying to process it. Everything is coming through. And it can get very, very overwhelming. But it's about always taking the focus away from the mental plane, dropping it into the body, going into whatever center it is that is your inner authority. Just place your focus there. And then just interact and pay attention. What's the body doing? Is it leaning in? Does it feel good? Is it not leaning in? Is it trying to run away? Are people not hearing you? Are people scared? It's about paying attention to your physical body and the environment around you. All right, so the head center, this is actually selling inspiration. What will inspire me? Always trying to answer questions that aren't important to you is what happens when it's totally undefined. So the head center is the big question mark. You don't know how to distinguish if there's a question or not. So selling inspiration is one of the biggest businesses on the planet. However, one thing to understand is that there's no tribe in the mind. So it's not supportive. This is about giving people what they need. I'll show you the past. I'll offer you the future, and we can ponder the unknowable. 71% of the population have this undefined. It's a big seller. So the modern market is trying to inspire the buyer. Forget about that. Here's something to inspire you. The Ajna, selling certainty. Everybody wants to be certain of the future. Holy man. That is a massive, massive, massive seller. This is the deepest place for the not self because it's always pretending to be certain. So educational certainty is a big seller. And here I am. That's what I sell. I sell educational certainty. Once you can grasp the mechanics of this system, all of a sudden, life doesn't seem so overwhelming. Life doesn't seem so scary. Especially to those open minds, naturally can get seduced in all kinds of educational training. Let me tell you, I have been a perpetual student. Totally open head, totally open Ajna, totally open G center. What is my direction and how do I get there? Education. I can't remember now, 6 or 7 first lines, maybe 8, I can't remember, in my design. So that has been my whole entire life. Here is just a quick look at this. And what's important, again, that we understand the streams. So the 63 of doubt moves down to the formula, then creates the opinion so that the details can be expressed. The confusion of the experience moves down to the realization of what the experience was, so that a belief can be created, an idea can be created, and a belief can be expressed. The 61, the inner truth comes to a rationale so that the breakthrough and the assimilation process can be expressed. So we're selling inspiration and we're selling certainty. We are going to start with doubt. We're going to start with the logical way. Most people want logic. They want a step-by-step process. They want this to be simplified and a control mechanism for them so that they can be controlled. Here we go. How do you relieve doubt? Well, provide them with a control mechanism. Provide them with a step-by-step training. Executive coaches, keeping the executive at the top of their game and staying successful. This is continuance. The dedication to the new beginning that insists on maintaining its achieved principles despite having to interact with those who have not attained such a state. So what is the future? Oh, I'm full of doubt. Inspiring people to get rid of the doubt is a big moneymaker. If you're going to run a business, it is run from the top. It is not run from the bottom. The material way is hierarchical, and continuity is maintained from the top. The bottom rarely has the whole picture that the top has. So you stay on the top because of the only thing that is going to keep this thing moving. Help others maintain their status as an evolutionary environment so that they can have continuity and success. So sharing the value of the future, inspiring that inspiration based on the future. The continuance, this new beginning, running from the top is as you own a business. The continuity is maintained from the top. The top has the perspective. So you stay on the top because this is the only thing that will keep this moving through that material success. So constantly training. Remember that the mind has a lot to do with education. Constant training. Always looking into the future. What are the trends? Experience is going to always, pull the rug out from underneath of you. However, if we are able to eliminate doubt, we're going to use this continuance, this continuity that takes place. Well, we need to be able to have that solid foundation. So we built the business and we renewed and we made new things and we moved up and through the trends, we stayed on trend and the top person has that outlook. It's like being on the top of the mountain. You can see all over. You can look down at the past, what didn't work. And then you can look out towards the other direction. What is the future? Of course, none of us know exactly what the future is. But keeping on your game. Don't get complacent. Complacency cannot lead us into the future. So if this is part of your profit potential, if you have the head center undefined, and you have the 63 hanging there, or in my case, I have a totally open head center. This is a possibility. We're eliminating that doubt. That's what I'm selling you. I'm selling you the mechanics of the universe to eliminate the doubt so that you can move through your life. Move to the continuance of your life by surrendering to the step-by-step process. Four, which is about formulas. So the doubt is questioning. It's questioning How do I stay on top? How do I stay relevant? How do I stay with the trends? That's really what is happening here in the 63, eliminating doubt. How can I be on the quote unquote leading edge? How can I move into the future? So the 4 is providing the formulas to those questions. So the formulas can provide some certainty. So when we're looking at logic, logic wants step by step. It has a theory. And theory is based off of formulas. It's based off of a pattern. However, if you see here, irresponsibility. Why irresponsibility? Well, human beings fundamentally are irresponsible. We're on the third line. We make mistakes. Of course, logic doesn't like mistakes. So formulas may seem like magic, but human beings are irresponsible, and the formulas get corrupted because life steps in. Formulas take on disproportionate values, patterns on how life will work. But yet life is not that. Human beings are irresponsible and they don't give a shit. And formulas get corrupted. That's when the art is more valuable than the artist. Formulas are not about life. They're about trying to see the patterns of how life will work. It isn't about life itself. So this isn't concretized ever. Formulas are never one size fits all. And that's why no matter how involved research and development can get, how many formulas we create, life comes along. But in order for people to feel certain of the future, we present formulas. Here's your human design formula. Success and sales formulas. This is your step-by-step to get to your financial goals. Consultants that help create business plans. These are all formulas. But again, human beings, we're all very different. What is the question that needs to be answered? That's really what the awareness is here. What is the question that needs to be answered? And then we move from there. So when you're with people and you're coaching them, or this is a part of your design and you know that you're here to create formulas for people, pay attention to the questions. What is the right inspiration for you? What is the right inspiration that is drawing out those questions, drawing out those formulas from you, so that you can serve to your highest good? And the 17 is opinions. This is mental anxiety over challenge. Challenging, that's what the logic does. Then the 18, the 58, 18, that's its whole role, is to challenge. There's massive anxiety about that. Visualization of what pattern is correct or not. What was the right question? What is the right answer? What is the pattern that I need to get involved with so that I can create an opinion? So selling certainty through educational understanding. Understanding's on the logic side. Sensing is on the abstract side. How can I understand this? You have teachers and you have followers on the logical side. This is, how do I go from the very bottom of the barrel up to the top. Remember, capitalism runs through the splenic side. So education, you'll see education, a lot of education, throughout the human design bodygraph, because education allows us to become successful. This can be these dummy books, right? This is the quick route. Keep it simple, stupid. Or the extended doctorate degree, which I took in the human design language. That's the differentiation degree. This is universities, formal training programs. Human design, take certification. Do-it-yourself books. There has to be an understanding. That was the question. Here's the formula. Now let's visualize it, and then we can put that plan into action when it is correct. Now we're going to move over to the abstract side. 64, there's this confusion. Selling inspiration through assistance. Most people are overextended and confused. Help me. This is most of the mothers on our planet. They are overextended. They are raising children. They are trying to be the corporate woman. They are trying to be the perfect housewife and the perfect wife. There's a massive overextension there. So sharing inspiration about how to stop being overextended. Inspiration that can be very successful with guidance and assistance. You need assistance. So here's what I did. I fought this forever, my whole life. I've been fighting this. I don't need any assistance. I don't need any assistance. And now I'm in this place in my life where I totally need it. I probably needed it all along. I need assistance. I need people to help me get this message out. So you discover that people are overextending themselves and they don't need to. Based on the past, in order to be successful financially, you're going to need assistance, even if you are at the top. You cannot carry the burden alone. You don't have the resources based on the past to do things alone. You are working too hard or too little. It's all about that guidance, sharing the value of the past and inspiration based in the past. Everybody on the planet, so many people are overextended. So this is helping you with your taxes. This is virtual assistants. This is employees. This is that exercise equipment at home so that you don't have to spend 20 minutes, half an hour driving to the gym and back. Helping people with their overextension. Then the realization. This is mental anxiety over futility. Having this sense of dread around the experiences and this sense of, it didn't mean anything. What's the meaning in it? And thinking that every experience is totally futile. So the awareness here is to recognize what makes sense. What makes sense? What's the right action going forward based off the past? So we're all oppressed by the material plane, and the only way to move through confusion and make sense of life is through right action. You have to be able to see and deal with yourself. Right action and only right action is something that can heal you and remove the self-oppression and the oppression of the material plane. Let me help you become certain on what makes sense. For me, it totally made sense. I need to have assistance. I cannot run a farm, run a trucking business, run a coaching business. I can't do it alone. So in human design language, it's about being correct. Personal development programs, self-help books, coaching. Here is the right action comes from being able to really recognize the past. Patterns are built in the logical side. Waves come over here on the solar plex side, the abstract side, ups and downs. How do you become certain? Well, be correct. It's all about this gate, understanding right action, and only right action is something that is going to heal you. Only right action will get rid of the oppression and the oppression in this material plane. Get rid of the oppression by being certain of who you are. Totally open G-center, head, ajna. I have tried everything on the material plane. And it always came down to integrity for me. I could not bend my integrity. I knew who I was. I'd get into programs and I'm like, oh, no. I cannot bend off of who I am. The 11, peace. This is the mental anxiety over darkness. Awareness to visualize a realization or not. This is selling certainty through sharing harmony and ideas. This is the storyteller on this side. So creating space for shared ideas, shared stories, break down the hierarchy so everyone can speak. Everyone's story matters. Ideas come and go. Like the suggestion box, break down the hierarchy so everybody has that free speech. Ideas grow out of the past experiences. This is coming together. This is a realist. These repeated patterns can't work. Let's come together. Let's bring all of this stuff, all of these experiences together. And then we can use that wisdom, use that realism, and harmonize those ideas. So you could sell mastermind groups, think tanks, but this isn't logical. This is abstract. I want to hear your experience. Why didn't it work? What did work? So that we can logically, on the other side, go forward. But we have to look at the past. We have to make an assessment. Now, on the individual aspect, this is such a beautiful process. When we walk through the individual circuitry, it's beautiful. So this is inspiration through establishing relationships. We are not an island. Each person isn't an island. We're not in this alone. This is interdependence. And in order for us to transform and go through mutation, bonding in duality is in the third quarter. So inner truth that sits in the fourth quarter of transformation. We have to establish relationships. So the awareness of universal underlying principles. If you know something, you have to sell it. Cannot stand alone. You have to develop interdependent relationships. The actualization of truth through relationships. Only once you are in is when people listen and accept something new. So in order to establish truth and be successful in inspiring others with the truth, you have to establish interrelated skills. A bedrock of making money is how to have interrelated skills. Sales training. This is constant contact, customer relationship management, human design. You guys have already seen how your design interacts with other people's design in the relationship aspect. And then either accepting that or not. Knowing that each one of us is having this interplay. We're interplaying in this big game, which then allows us to establish relationships. What is correct? What's not correct? '24 is rationalization. It's fear over ignorance. Awareness to struggle for knowing or not. Selling certainty through addiction. The addict. The natural and spontaneous process of transformation and renewal. To return over and over and over and over and over again. The selling of the new is an addiction. Anything new that comes in and takes hold has people who have been waiting for it. Geez. Look at Apple products. People will stand in line for days waiting for that. It's an addiction. Their old phone is probably totally fine. They're addicted to the new. New becomes an addiction. So, and what's important is that in the human design languaging, we talk about deconditioning. Well, what we have to do in that deconditioning process, really what we're doing is we are moving the gunk and the yuckiness out of every cell because the mind isn't running the show anymore. We're deconditioning from that mental decision-making process so that we can make room for all this new stuff coming in. Make room so that our auras can attract what they need to attract. We overcome irrationality, being irrational for the new. It's that idiosyncrasy for the new. Emotive behavior or a way of thought particular to an individual, a distinct or particular feature or characteristic of a place or thing. Because the same is bland. New video games, new TV series, the new iPhone, Black Friday, go shopping, get that new deal. And people are certain that they won't be ignorant. They won't be ignorant to the new. You're selling them the new. They'll be on the leading edge. And then the 43. This fear of that mental anxiety of rejection. Ignorance and rejection. People don't want to be ignorant, and they definitely do not want their ideas to be rejected. There's this spontaneous knowing or not here. And 43, that should not say openness. I apologize for that. That should say breakthrough. So, my apologies. Selling certainty through expediency. So, when breakthrough is threatened, use any means, align with any force, and endure any condemnation to achieve the goal. So what Ra always said was, you know what? In the beginning, I took drug money. I knew I needed to get this message out. It had to be fast. There had to be expediency here. He forged ahead with quote-unquote dirty money. So the only way new can be accepted as certainty is that the mutation that it brings is of value to whomever it is being presented to. When it has a mutation, it will do anything in its power to deliver it. Sometimes, to bring the new into the world, you have to do what is expedient, doing whatever you have to do to bring it out. Here, when we talk about the 43 and down to the 23, that is the freak to genius channel, or genius to freak. So freaks want the world to be fair. Success of any structure is its fairness. New, odd, comes out fast. Non-traditional advertising. There's an expediency here. And we'll withstand any kind of condemnation by bringing it out, mutating people. Of course, it has to come through invitation. So if any of these gates are yours, play around with that. What do you recognize that you sell to people? What kind of conversations are you having? What are they asking you for? What are they inviting you for? The mental process is all about invitation. This isn't about pushing anything on anybody. This is about the invitation process that happens so that we can sell inspiration, so that we can sell certainty. You know, we're certain to have this out and mutating and helping people really quickly. All right, friend. In the coaching, let's play around with this, and until the next video.